Um, all right, so let's get started. Today, or what are we at? March 19th, 2020, and this is just my quick emergency client teleconference call regarding the whole COVID coronavirus 2019 situation. I wanted to make sure to address my clients' current past perspective. I just wanted to make sure that you folks have access to hear what it is I am hearing, what it is I'm learning, what it is we are doing to take care of you at Keystone Law Firm. I have with me here today John Hagenson, who's the founder of Keystone Wealth Partners, good friend, and he's going to also share his perspective as well here in just a little bit. What we all kind of started probably to hear some of this pop up. I know for me it would have been in January sometime. I think this first started kind of bubbling up in the media right before the new year, and it didn't really sort of come to, I think, an awareness for me anyway that this was like going to snowball into what it has turned into until last Friday. For some reason, that was just when everything kind of landed on me and my team as, okay, we better get our response to this put together. And even though this whole week has supposed to have been vacation for me, was planned, my wife would tell you I basically haven't had vacation this week. I've been dealing with my leadership team and some key people on my staff. I've been working with my own advisors. I've been working with my whole law firm, everybody on the team there, just helping to address their concerns and what's happening, because this is what we're hearing in the media. This is unprecedented times, and this is, the reaction is, massive because of fill in the blank for what reason you are hearing or that is being fed to us. What I realized on Friday was that I more than anything, if I let my own mind address this thing one way, it's going to have a certain outcome for my family, my staff, my clients, versus if I let my mind address this thing in another way, then it'll have a different outcome for my family, my staff, and my clients. And basically since then on Friday, I've been consuming information very intentionally and not haphazardly, and I've been making very intentional choices about how I'm going to think about this going forward. And for me, that means I'm trying to maintain my mindset, because if we approach things from the wrong mindset or from a negative mindset, then the outcome is already predisposed. And so as estate planning attorneys, we better have a pretty good and thoughtful response to what's happening here. And so this is something, I'm offering this to you guys so that you can hear from me directly to know what my response is and what I'm thinking about this, because I don't want the only voice that you are hearing to be the voices of CNN and Fox News and MSNBC and whoever else is out there claiming that the sky is falling. I've heard it so many different times in the media. I've read it so many different times that this is unprecedented. And I want to, in a big way, absolutely agree with that. There are some very unprecedented things that are happening. But from my perspective, it's unprecedented compared to what? The piece of this that is actually has very, very many precedents is that there is a worldwide pandemic, that there is a worldwide health scare. That is not unprecedented. I mean, we can I'm 40 years old. Some of my clients, they've lived through many more of these than I have. But just kind of recently, right? There's the bird flu, there's the swine flu, there's H1N1, there was the Ebola scare, and I could probably list more and more and more. It seems like every 5-10 years or so, there's some giant, legitimate world health scare that just sweeps across the globe and impacts thousands and hundreds of thousands and millions of lives. So the nature of this is, I don't believe, and I don't buy into the message that the nature of what's happening is unprecedented. I believe that the nature of this is very precedented, and we do have very many precedents before us so that we can know what type of response should happen. And so I don't believe that the coronavirus is an unprecedented health scare. I believe that the coronavirus itself is another version of a health scare that we have many, many precedents to use to our advantage to make decisions to get through this. Now, does that mean that I'm completely sticking my head in the sand when it comes to this from the perspective of it being a health scare? No, absolutely not. Number one, I recognize that there are some very unique elements to this health scare that mean we do need to pay attention to it. I absolutely recognize that one of the biggest risk groups are people who are our very own clients. My parents are some of those who are at high risk for contracting this. And so I absolutely acknowledge there are some serious things we need to take into consideration with regard to the health side of this issue. But the health side of this issue is the health side of this issue, and that, I believe, is being addressed appropriately by everybody who's hearing about this, by the federal government all the way down to the individual person, me and you here on this phone call. We are doing the right things, we're taking the right steps, and we're addressing the health issues appropriately. The health side of what's happening, there are lots of responses, there are lots of opinions, there's lots of recommendations. I can't go through those with you. I'm not a trained medical professional. We can't give you medical advice. Follow your common sense, follow your doctor's advice, follow the recommendations that are currently in place. Keep yourself healthy. Certainly, don't ignore the recommendations that are out there is what I would want you to hear from the health side of this. I don't believe the health scare is unprecedented. Again, I believe the health side of this is very precedented. What is absolutely unprecedented is the media, the volume of media response to this precedented healthcare. There are lots of people who are studying the media's response, and one of these studies was grading sort of how much media attention each of the prior global pandemics received, and they're estimating that this particular coronavirus event has received 500% more media coverage than the prior health scares. 500% more. And from that perspective, we've never seen something like this before. We've never seen something get this much media attention at all, not even close. And so what that means to me is, holy cow, my clients, my staff, my family members, they are all getting bombarded, absolutely attacked with messages and communication and emails and everything. They're just getting bombarded with messages from the media at a rate that is unprecedented. And here's what's absolutely insane about that. and atrociously unhealthy about that is that the media, literally, they get paid to scare us. They get paid when we lock in to their drip, to their drug. They get paid more. And so the more they can lock us onto the TV, the radio, Facebook, social media, the more they can lock us into that, the more money they make. And how do they do that? They can only do that if we are just amped up and if we are just frozen with fear that that's all we can convince ourselves to do. So I think, yes, this is completely unprecedented to have this much media attention. I don't believe this is unprecedented with regard to what the actual facts of the situation are. So I just want to encourage my clients, my past clients, my prospective clients, for you to consider, where are you getting your information from? Who is giving you your perspective about this situation? I would recommend that you be very intentional about where you seek your information from, so that you don't get infected with a irrational response. I had the opportunity to work with a staff member this week on just a very nonchalant comment, because it's so easy to let things get into our mind, and then we don't even recognize that that's impacting how we make our decisions. But that's what mindset does. And the comment that was made was, people are freaking out. And that wasn't the perspective I had had of anybody, clients or staff or my family. Nobody seems to be freaking out. And so I dug a little deeper and I said, well, actually using the words freaking out or freaked out, and well, no, not using those exact words, but heavily concerned. And I went, aha, you see how easy this game of telephone turns into something that it wasn't before. Because if we're all just going around expressing heavy concern for our fellow brothers and sisters, for our fellow friends and family, and we're expressing heavy concern, if somebody then walks around and says, oh my gosh, everybody's freaking out, people hear that other people are freaking out, and then they think in their mind, wow, other people are freaking out, maybe I should be freaking out, and then that changes how they see everything in the world. If we are making our decisions from a point of being freaked out, we make much less rational decisions. We make much more irrational, fast, quick, just happenstance decisions, as opposed to if we're concerned about things, then we can make thoughtful and rational and diligent decisions because we're concerned. And when you're concerned, you have an open mind to learn. And so we want to approach this from the perspective of, we're concerned and we want to know what's happening, and we want to make decisions that are in the best interest of our families, our staff, and our clients. So who is giving you your perspective? Make sure you're very intentional about how you're consuming that, and that you're not letting it sit in your subconscious mind and then drive irrational decisions. Because I've got my notes here written down, so that's why I keep looking down. Where this leads us to is if everybody, or even a segment of society, starts making decisions based on fear and based on the thought that I'm freaked out, then the decisions just have a cascading effect. And what I want to do with my team, my family, and you, my clients, and my past clients, and my prospective clients, what I want every one of us to do is to use the reality, the truth, that each of us, we each have true influence on those around us. Every single one of you do. Every single one of you has influence, okay, maybe just on yourself if you want to get that narrow, but you've got influence on the people in your household. You've got influence on the people who are your neighbors. You've got influence on your family who may not live with you but who you talk with. You've got influence on friends. You've got influence on people who listen to whatever you post on social media or whatever you email out there. You've got influence on the person who delivers your mail, on the person who is your landscaper. You've got influence on people in your life. And if you are approaching this this state of affairs that we're in from a mindset of, holy cow, I'm freaked out, then you're going to influence them whether you want to or not, if that's how you're approaching this, if that's how you're thinking about this. So I encourage you to look at this from the pure facts of the situation and evaluate really what kind of concern should you have. I took my dog on a walk this morning, and just straight up the front of my house, there's a little grassy area. And I was standing out there for a couple of minutes and took him off the leash, and so he was running around, and I'm just looking around in beautiful weather. And it just hit me that, wow, if I were just sitting outside, not listening to the television, not on social media, not checking my email 100 times, if I were just sitting out in the beautiful sunshine, I wouldn't know anything's wrong with the world. I would think that this is an amazing, blessed, glorious day, and I could just sit there and be grateful for it. And I was able to just experience that for a few moments. But then you get back into the TV and the media and the insanity of what's going on around sort of out there, and it just drags you back in. Get the concern about the things that you should be concerned about. Look at your immediate life. Look at your immediate circumstances. Do you have what you need? Do you have what you need for the next few days, for the next few weeks? Most likely, everybody who's on this call, all of my clients, my past clients, my prospective clients, we have our immediate needs met. One of the things that I'm going to ask for you to do later in this call is, if you don't have your immediate needs met, my staff has been absolutely charged with making sure you do. And so call our office. We've got a dedicated phone line for you. I'll give you that so that we can help you figure out getting whatever it is you need. But for the vast majority, probably 90-some%, we've got our immediate needs taken care of. And thank God that we do. We live and we've been able to take care of ourselves in that way. Be grateful for that. There is still time in these crazy moments to absolutely be grateful and express our gratitude and to still live in a spirit of gratitude. Because it's times like these where the world is falling apart. It's literally times like these where you will either come through this with being dragged through the mud by the media, or you will come through this knowing how grateful you are for the people you have in your life, for the things you have in your life, for the amazing blessings that have come into your life, and it can just crystallize really what are those most important things to you. That's what times like these should cause us to do. They should cause us to lean back and really just revel in what we're grateful for. And so I encourage you, first and foremost, to approach these next few weeks, no matter what happens, from that perspective of gratitude for really what it is you have in your life, and to spend this time to refocus your efforts on expressing that gratitude to the people around you that you really care about. One of the things we do with all of our clients who create an estate plan is we, at their last appointment, we have them record an audio recording where they express their gratitude to their family. There's never times more important to do that than crises like this. So that's really all I want to say about mindset, is to get yourself in the right mindset around this. Make sure you're focused on the right things. This is not a time to freak out. We are not running around like Chicken Littles. We are absolutely going to lead our families, our staff, and you guys, our clients, through this situation, because we know this is going to come to an end. We know that there's going to be an end to this. It might be in 2 weeks. It might be in 2 months. We don't know. But we know it's going to come to an end. And when we get to the end of it, we're all going to look back and we're going to go, oh, it wasn't that bad. It's like when the first, your first love breaks your heart, and you think the world is literally going to end, but then months later you're like, oh, I don't even care about them anymore. This is going to come to an end, and we're all going to look back at this and go, oh yeah, it wasn't that bad. So in the moment, right now, we should just be approaching it from the perspective of, what do we need to do to move forward? All right, I want to switch gears and just share with everybody what are some of the current status of things as it relates to this pandemic, as it relates to current restrictions that are happening from the CDC, from the state of Arizona. I can't go through every single thing, but I'm going to go through a number of them, what the current status of things are with regard to some tax issues, some court rules, and things like that. One of the things that is really encouraging for me, one of the facts that I think we all should lean into and really study and learn, and I know that they're studying and learning from this, is what has happened on the cruise ship, the Diamond Princess, because this was one of the ones that was quarantined off land. And it's just a really, really interesting scenario that gives us sort of a scientifically closed universe of how this thing went down, right? So what happened? I just want to share with you guys some of these numbers so we all get some facts around this. So there were about 4,000 people on board. This was a cruise ship, so these were a lot of elderly people, senior citizens. I know you guys love your cruising. So high percentage of people in that high-risk population. They kept everybody on the ship through the whole course of the virus, the way that the virus spreads, until you're no longer contagious. Like, they kept everybody on board. Out of the 4,061 passengers, 712 of them got the virus. 712. So if you want to do some math, that's 17.5%. Okay, so 712 got the virus. Only 334 of those had zero symptoms. So they got the virus, but they didn't feel sick. They had no symptoms whatsoever. Okay, so 378 actually got symptoms, were ill, they were sick. So 378 of the 4,000 got actually symptomatic. So that's 9.3% of the total. Okay, they did have 7 people who passed away. So that's 1.85% of those who were actually symptomatic, or it was 0.17% of the whole total, everybody on board of that 4,000. Okay, so 0.17% of the whole sort of universe on the cruise ship passed away. That was the mortality rate on that cruise ship. In my perspective, I have an engineering degree. I love statistics. I love looking at numbers. I love when we have a controlled environment. And while this is a very sad situation that people who were on a cruise ship had to deal with this, the fact that it had a 0.17% fatality rate should be encouraging, at least to the rest of us, to know that is useful information. That is fact. And so we should go forward with that kind of understanding. Now, the current restrictions the CDC is recommending are that people not gather in groups bigger than 10, And so, if you have a family of 15 at home, you got to kick a few of them out, I guess, right? No, but 10 people or less. Arizona just late yesterday declared a state of emergency. Governor Ducey declared a state of emergency, and that'll bring some more resources to our state. The courts have been issuing new orders almost every day about what's happening, and so we got one late yesterday that said the courts are going to remain open. The FDA commissioner, the doctor in charge, the head scientist there this morning, said that the drug that has been historically used to treat malaria, which is a safe drug to treat malaria, they're actually finding it's potentially very effective against treating coronavirus. And so since it's already been approved and has treated patients who've had malaria, they're simply now testing out what the dose ranges are for safely treating coronavirus, and they've fast-tracked everything so that can come out very quickly. You've hopefully, if you haven't heard, the IRS has extended the tax payment deadline, so taxes still have to be filed apparently by the 15th, but it seems that the payment deadline is going to be extended for 90 days, and so that's a little bit of relief there. I also saw an article that the Dollar General has announced that they'll be devoting their opening hour, their first hour of operation, will be for elderly customers only, which I love. So, check with your local stores. Your favorite store may have some special hours dedicated just for our elderly folks in the neighborhood. So make sure you look into that. The latest news out of China, where this first came out, is that they closed down now the last hospital that was dedicated as a coronavirus center has now been closed down because there's not enough demand for it. And so we're seeing that that's already coming down. And so to me that's somewhat encouraging, because they were really at the forefront of this in China, where the discovery, the first incidents, all these things happened, and that was in December, January, February, we're in March. 3 months later, that's already not in demand. Well, hopefully our response is better and we can shorten that cycle. So the current status of things is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? We don't need to make that decision. That's just where we're at. And for me, those are things that I'm glad to hear. I'm glad to hear that our state governor has declared a state of emergency. There's a lot of small business clients we have that are going to be desperately, scratching and clamoring for some help from the Small Business Administration. And so lots of other things like that are going to be opened up to Arizona. Now, our business, Keystone Law Firm, I'm going to share our business, what we're doing operationally to make sure you guys are safe, to make sure our staff is safe, to make sure our families are safe. And then I'm going to ask John Hagenson to share some things about his team, Keystone Wealth Partners, and what they're doing from the same perspectives. Number one, Keystone Law Firm, we're open for business. We're happily open for business. We have more work every single day, and we're very grateful to the clients that are coming to us to take care of their needs. We're still able to file things in court if there are any probate or guardianship issues. We have developed a whole delivery system for our services now, where we can do it 100% no contact, where it's all phone, video calls like this, or we even have a way to sterilize this one lady who's a mobile notary and send her out if we have to get things signed. I'm just kidding. But she has special training to be able to go do that on a one-off basis, which is nice because you're not stepping into a public facility. And she will make sure things are clean before she comes into your home. And then, of course, we have a lot of documents we can sign electronically through just email on the computer. Just kind of click right through and take care of business. And we have plenty of different options for you to be able to upload and send us any documents or information you want through our client portal. If somebody, we're still having lots of clients who are also coming to the office for appointments, and that's fantastic. We're happy to support that. We have lots of extra cleaning measures in the office, and we have extra cleaning measures just ongoing. We have extra cleaning measures between appointments. So, when one appointment finishes, we do a clean, and then, before the next appointment starts, we do a clean. And I believe we still have supply of hand sanitizer. We obviously, before and after your appointments, we encourage you to use the restroom to wash your hands to make sure you don't bring anything in or take anything home with you. And all of these things are easy to implement, and they are in place already. If you do want to come to the office for appointments, we will ask you a couple questions just because we don't want you bringing something in. So if you've had any fevers recently, number one, if you have traveled out of country or out of state recently, or if you've had contact with anybody who is ill or has a cough or fever recently, then in those situations, we're just going to ask you to do your appointment by phone and just continue getting the project done. Otherwise, that is it. We will continue plugging forward. We have initiated a process where we're going to start to have some of our staff work from home. That way we keep the just overall total numbers of employees and people in the office, in the building. We keep the total traffic down, and that way there's just not as much, human traffic through our office. So that's a process that'll be starting today. So if you start to see some of our team members saying something about I'm working from home, that's where that is coming from. Two other things that our law firm is doing just to help during this time period. I realize, number one, that there are some people who just are going to have too much fear, and they're just not going to want to go out. They're just going to lock themselves up in their homes, or maybe some other situations where they just don't want to leave the home. And that's, I understand that. I still am the fear we are feeling now is real fear about something that's, a health scare. Well, what does that mean? It means we really need to use this as the motivation to get your will and your trust and your stuff put together, right? So it's precisely because of what's happening that we need to get these things done. So what we put together, because I recognize that there are some people who aren't going to step out of their house, we put together a free one-page will for people who just aren't going to step out of their homes. And we put that up online. We're making that available to the public. Absolutely share it, use it. Folks who've done an estate plan with us, do not go use this. Your plan will not get better by using that. What you've done in our office is so much better. What you've done takes care of making sure you've saved on taxes, that your beneficiaries are protected, that you've got divorce protection, bankruptcy protection, all these other protections, keeping yourselves out of probate, all these other things that you have. If you're one of our clients who've done that, don't rush off and use this website for yourself, but share it with others. It's freearizonawill.com. That's it, simple. freearizonawill.com. Jump on that, share it with someone. They just fill out that form, and boom, they get an email right to their house. They print out that stuff, and it tells them exactly what to do. There's a couple videos there to help them learn how to fill that out, how to get it signed. They don't need a notary. They just need themselves and 2 witnesses, and bam, they've got a one-page will done. And for those circumstances where where they don't have anything, they should get at least this done. Really, they really should. So we've got that. And then our firm is also hosting another teleconference, a lot like this one, but for industry professionals tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. so that they can get off to work when they're done. Anybody who takes care of anybody who's in a law firm or who's taking care of retirees or senior citizens is invited to join that teleconference tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. where I'm going to go through and just give them some bullet points on the things that they can be doing to help their customers, their clients, their business, to make sure their business continues to operate. And so if you know of somebody who's an attorney, who's in the elder care industry, any business person or business owner, let them know that I'm hosting that tomorrow at 7 a.m. You're welcome to have them reach out to my staff, and they can get the information on how to join for that. All right, and then I'm going to turn this over to John. Let me unmute you, John, and I'm going to ask for your perspective here from Keystone Wealth Partners. I know you guys have been monitoring so many things and jumping on so much with your guys' clients, but I just want to hear from you, your perspective on really what's happening here.
Yeah, thanks, Francisco. Can you hear me all right?
Yep, you're clear and loud and clear.
Perfect. I think just to echo what you had said, the key is not to be reacting out of panic. Because with anything in life, especially with our money, we just don't make very good long-term decisions when we're in that panic state. And so a few real practical things to consider right now. I'm getting a really bad echo, Francisco. Is that on yours maybe?
It's not on mine, but I'll mute mine and see if that...
Okay. I'm still getting it, but that's okay. But a couple of things that I want everyone to be considering. Obviously, we're in a bear market right now. A bear market is anytime the market drops more than 20% from its highs. And that's never something that people are excited about. And it creates some fear and some panic. And usually what leads to those are different events. So I don't want to be insensitive to the fact that people always say, this time's not different. It is different in the sense of the underlying event is usually unique, whether it's 9/11 or a real estate bubble crisis or a coronavirus. The starting places are different, but although history doesn't generally repeat itself, it rhymes. And so we can learn a lot from these sorts of instances. And there's really three primary types of bear markets: structural, cyclical, and event-driven. So what am I talking about? Well, structural would just be like an 08-09. But there were actual issues with the underlying global economy. And generally speaking, the drops will be 50 to 60%. But when you look at cyclical, and by the way, that usually leads to deflation and a bunch of other things. They take about 10 years on average to fully come all the way back out of that recession. A structural. Cyclical is just the typical business cycle. Why do we have bear markets on average every 4 or 5 years? Go back to the 1800s, look at 150 years of data. We have bear markets every 4 or 5 years. So although this is different in terms of the coronavirus, having a bear market and volatility is something that we should expect in the stock market. And those cyclical ones are generally just a slowing economy, rising interest rates, and normally about 30% down. And it takes about 4 or 5 years to come all the way back. So what about this event-driven type of scenario? When we have a war, right? A terrorist attack, oil issues, or in this case, a pandemic. Here's the encouragement, because I know it doesn't feel like it's very encouraging out there right now. The typical event-driven bear market takes about 15 to 18 months to recover. So that doesn't mean it recovers tomorrow, but generally they're not the 8 to 10 year type scenarios for the market to come all the way back to make all-time highs. So all I want to encourage people for is don't panic. Certainly the portion of your portfolio, even if you're in retirement, that's geared for growth and that's in the market, the last thing you want to do is sell. And think about an 08-09 scenario. March 9 of 09 was the bottom of the market. Market was down over 50%. From March 9 of 09 to the end of 2009, for those 9 months, the market went up 60% in those final 9 months. 60. That's not a misprint, 60. And so what that means is we never know when it will recover, but often the recovery is just as violent and just as rapid as the drop. And so the last thing you want to do once we're down 35% is say, I'm panicked, I'm going to get out, I think it's going to go down more. And the reason I tell you this and reference '09 is because there was a lot of fear then for different reasons. And if you look at the data, 4 out of 5 Americans that first week of March of 2009, when the market was about to go to the bottom and come up 60%, 4 out of 5 Americans were selling their stocks in literally the best buying opportunity in 80 years since the Great Depression. So let's learn from that and say we're already in a bear market. It may go lower. It may come down more. But this is certainly not the time to get out of the market. It's certainly not the time to panic. Now, with that being said, this all assumes that the plan that you have in place is a good one to begin with. Right? This assumes that you don't have 100% of your portfolio in Boeing stock and you're taking 7% a year out of your portfolio to live on for income. Yeah, you do that, you're selling Boeing down 70% at $95 a share and you're going to run out of money. So this assumes that you're diversified. This assumes that you have the right level of risk. Okay, but either way, you really don't want to be making major adjustments inconsistent with the big plan because of how you're feeling right now in the emotional state that we're in. Okay, so real practical stuff that you can be thinking about with your portfolio. We have an interesting confluence of really 3 different things right now. Bond prices are at all-time highs. So people that, for those of you listening that have bonds, you probably put bonds in your portfolio to begin with because you wanted to reduce risk and reduce volatility. They have done that. Market's down 35%. Bonds are up during this time. So they've done their job. They're actually at all-time highs. And there's a few reasons for that. 1, people are panic selling and wanting to go to bonds because they're safer. 2, because interest rates have dropped. And that's my second of the 3 things. You probably saw the Fed dropped rates to 0%. What that also means is bonds prices are at all-time highs, yields are at all-time lows, and then the third thing is the stock market's in a bear market. So equities are way down, bonds are way up, and interest rates are at historic lows. This presents a massive opportunity for people. Okay, so I want to encourage you not to panic and make these huge sweeping changes, but you absolutely should be being proactive to take advantage of specific opportunities that are only going to be available in times like this. And that's what we're doing at Keystone, and we have been doing for our clients at Keystone. Right? We're a tax practice as well, so things like being more aggressive on Roth conversions while your IRA account may be down 30%. Get all the growth on the recovery tax-free. Take them out while they're down 30% in value and pay tax at a much lower value. Tax loss harvest. Match up some of your losses with gains and harvest some of those, right? If we had an 11-year bull market, so you probably had a lot of growth. Well, some of that's come back, and some of the securities you bought more recently are actually probably down in value. Very important that you're matching those up to offset taxes. So I'm just kind of scratching the surface and giving you a few ideas of what you could be doing. But just know this is a very unique time and probably one of the better opportunities for investors that we'll see over the next several decades if you know what you're doing. And so if you don't know that, a couple questions that I want to encourage you to ask yourself. 1, where is your income going to come from? So let's just say this does extend 18 months. Let's say I'm wrong and this thing keeps going and it spreads and this thing's way worse than anyone expected and it needs to be 3 or 4 years from now before you can sell any stocks because they just stay down in value. They don't recover as fast as historically they have. Will your income hold up? Where are you getting it from? Number 2, strategically rebalancing. Have you bought or readjusted your portfolio at all? Because there are probably some opportunities for that. And I already mentioned it, tax strategies. Those are the 3 things that are big opportunities right now. And if you're not certain what you could be doing in that way, you can go to KeystoneWealthPartners.com, and right on our homepage, you can request a retirement map review. We can do that entire thing virtually. If you want to just have a phone call, we'll review your risk. We'll review all your tax strategies. We'll look at your income plan, all of those things. It's complimentary, and we can do it over the phone or screen share. So obviously no pressure to do that, but if you think that'd be helpful to get a second look at what you're doing just to make sure that you and your family will be okay, we're happy to do that.
And John, something that I'd like to hear a little bit. I mean, I could say it, but I think you're the real expert. You just taught me so much about this stuff. I've heard you say, I've heard you've been you've chanted this message into me so many times over the years that I can't help but say it. Down markets are going to happen. Down markets are going to happen, right? And if people who have money invested didn't have a plan for this before it happened, I mean, that's kind of, I just want to emphasize the point that that's what you guys are always consistently saying. Here's what we're going to do if the market goes down. And I just want you to just describe that a little bit for people so that they know there's actually a context for them to learn how to do that. Did I lose you? Or are you muted?
There we go.
There you are.
Can you hear me again?
Yep.
So if you look at the history of markets, a correction, which is 14% from the high, happens on average, a drop of 14%, happens on average once per calendar year. But yet you wouldn't know that based upon what you were talking about at the beginning, Francisco, with the media, right? It's like if the market drops 14%, the media is like, oh, correction territory, market's dropping. And people go, what should I be doing now? And it's like, wait, this on average happens once a year. This is normal. A down market, if you look at all calendar years since 1926, a third of the time at Christmas, you're looking at your statement and you have less money than January. A third of the time. Now, the great news in that is that 2/3 of the time you make money, and on average you make more in the good years than the bad years. So they happen twice as frequently, and you make more. So that's why the market makes good money. But it's not because it rarely goes down. It goes down a third of the time. I grew up going to the Kingdom with my dad in Seattle and watching the Mariners, and Griffey was, like the best player of his generation, and I loved watching him play. He had about a 300 career batting average, meaning he got a base hit about a third of the time he went to the plate. If I'm sitting there eating my chocolate malt with my dad in the stands, hoping Griffey pops an upper decker into the right field stands, and he gets a base hit, I don't look at my dad and go, oh my word, this is shocking. Griffey got a hit, right? My dad would look at me and go, well, yeah, he gets a hit about 1 out of every 3 at bats. That's not that anomalous. That's how often the market goes down. So to your point, Francisco, you can't go into retirement or into your financial plan saying, we'll figure it out if the market goes down. I guess we'll have to figure out what we're going to do. You better prepare in advance that it will go down, right? So the key things being, when it goes down, what will we do? Which is exactly what we're doing with our clients. We're going to take advantage of all the tax opportunities in those moments. We're going to buy more shares while they're on sale. We're going to have other things in the portfolio that are not down, which we have. That's where you're going to sustain yourself and get income while you're weathering the storm, right? Because the way you run out of money or the way you jeopardize your plan is selling stocks when they're down. So you need to have some sort of buffer to allow you to get income for as long as this takes. And what we do is we literally buffer 10 years for our clients. We say we could go through one of these horrible bear markets / recessions, and before we'd ever have to come back and touch our stocks, we would have 10 years of safety set aside, right? We are basically the person that you walk into their basement right now, and they have 10 years worth of water bottles and Campbell's soup cans and guns and ammunition, and you go, this may be a little bit of overkill here, the friend that's like prepping like crazy, but I guarantee you that friend that's prepping like crazy doesn't go, yeah, I'm worried that this might last an extra 3 weeks. Right? they're chuckling and smiling and going, see, you guys were all wrong. Look at how much stuff I have down here, and you're kind of still thinking, wow, this is a little overkill. But the point being, in your portfolio and in your retirement plan, you want to prep like that. You want to be the person that says, I got 10 years worth of water bottles, so to speak, in my portfolio that I can utilize while I wait for this to come back.
Yeah, that's exactly what I get so much relief from when I hear you describe how you guys take care of clients. And so I really wanted my clients and my, everybody on this call to hear that you can do that. You should do that. That's how your financial security doesn't get turned upside down during these kinds of crazy times, that you can literally just continue to plod forward, knowing that you're going to come out the other side of this thing unscathed, completely, totally fine.
Yeah, I think even more important than just the financial side is the reality of, like what you had said earlier, the mindset. I mean, we saved money in general to provide us more freedom and more peace of mind. So a lot of this, too, is being able to go through these sorts of events and not be so stressed out that you're losing sleep at night, and not being able to be a good husband or a good grandparent or whatever it is, or a good spouse, because, you're so nervous and stressed out about your money. So having a plan for these things, in addition to actually making you more money, it allows you to actually be your best self in the midst of these things that are going to occur over the course of our lives, which may be the most valuable aspect of it. I mean, we manage $350 million for 500 clients. We haven't had a single client move their money. We haven't had a single client call us and say, change my whole plan. Not one single client. Now, they may, right? I'm hoping they don't. But at this point, at that type of scale, we haven't had a single client deviate from the plan that's in place, or ask to go to cash, or sell their stuff, or transfer their accounts. So I think what that says to me is that our clients get what I'm saying right now on this webinar. Like, they're okay. They know that they have a plan. And I want that for everybody. It doesn't mean they need to work with, it's not that all roads lead to Keystone Well Partners, but like, I want that sort of peace of mind and confidence for everybody out there, so that they can go through times like this, because this won't be the last. Mm-hmm. This might be the last coronavirus in our lifetime, but it'll be something else next. Yep. And I want people to be able to go through these every 4 or 5 years and still be able to have a positive experience with their money along the way. So thanks for letting me share that, Francisco. Yeah, no, thank you. I mean, more than anything, I love the message you guys share, and I'm just grateful that you could do it today. So that's kind of it. There's a few points here that I would just want to give everybody as a sort of what to do next. Number one, my recommendation and what I'm doing for myself, and this is just how I live. I actually always operate like this. I don't follow the news. I don't watch the news. I completely fast from the media. And I would just encourage you guys, if you're going to get the emergency notifications when it's an emergency through your phones, through your neighbors, through your family. The what is happening on TV, it's not a place to be consuming every day, all day long. And if you just can't quite get yourself to do it completely cold turkey, limit it. Decide for yourself now, all right, I'll check in once a day at 6 p.m. They'll give me the highlights for 20 minutes and then I'm out. You should, and I empower you and I implore you to just unplug from the media, because it is going to infect what is happening in your mind, which will make your decisions not the best decisions in the moment. Number two, please stay in touch with your neighbors. Let us know. Our firm, we've set up a special hotline. It's 480-750-7788 for our, let me just double check that with you. Had it in my other notes, and 750-7788. That's our special hotline. If you need anything, if you have any immediate daily needs, please call our office and let us know. We will absolutely figure out a way to make sure you get what you need. Please let people know about freearizonawill.com. I don't want anyone out there worried about the fact that they can't get this done for one reason or another right now.
they can get something done. It's going to be better than nothing. So I encourage you, spread that free, ArizonaWill.com. There's no catch. There's no, just share it as will. And anytime you need something from us, please just schedule a call, get on the phone, dial our office number. We'll be happy to jump on the phone with you to brainstorm whatever it is you need and help you figure out how to get those resources. We have a ton of free resources we're happy to share with you. That was all I had for today. If you need anything, please call our office. Otherwise, we're done. Thanks for joining, everybody.